red light comes on. Hey there and welcome everybody. This is Tavo DRC and this is Pam Lowy, and we're here today to ask big questions or just discuss whatever topic. I want Pam to figure out what we're going to say. Would you like to say anything?
Just hello, and a friend of mine suffered a huge loss yesterday, and you really hurt for your friends.
Yeah.
Particularly when, at our age, you've gone through lots of losses, but some are more heartrending. Some are like, you know your parents at a certain age, but others are.
Some are so bad that you have no way of correcting them. That's really it.
So I had I'm sure many of you are familiar with Harold Kushner's book, When Bad Things Happen to Good People. And, I was thinking maybe this would be helpful to my friend. And then I thought, no, it's way too soon. Gotta leave people alone for a while before you. I think in me there's something, I want to fix this. And the mature part of me knows, no, you can't fix this. And I think people have to go through the grieving process, and maybe it's worth it, as painful as the grieving process usually is. What is if you don't go through the grieving process? That might even be worse. I don't know. What do you think?
What we're doing is to make sure we're on our topic. We're talking of loss.
Of loss, yeah.
And they had a great loss with much suffering afterwards of a child in the past that was, newborn. So we want to give empathy and grace to people. And what she's saying is we weep with those who weep. We have empathy and caring and compassion, yet the person has to suffer it alone when nobody's around. So God is there, but also grace. As she said, you don't rush in, you don't hurry them, you let them have their space.
Yeah. And I think, some loss, it's, in some ways you never get over it. Mm-hmm. It is, on some level, always with you.
Yeah, especially.
Because I lost my mother in 1967. She was 45.
Wow.
And 1967 was a long time ago.
Yeah, 45 is young.
But I still feel that loss.
Yeah.
I live my life, and I am in many ways so grateful. I have a wonderful mother, but there's some losses. I don't think grief totally goes away. I think some grief is in you your whole life. Well, I don't know. What do you think?
So the thing is, it is there. The thing is, you've got to deal with it often and repeatedly. So how you manage it, or how you try to get the comfort of minimizing it.
Do you mind if we just do a little talking?
No,
okay.
It's okay.
Okay, sure.
So the issue is that there's no formula. There's no one person who, everyone's individual, whatever kind of loss they've had, whatever kind of suffering they go on. But that's the part, ways to manage it, but also have the insulation, the protection, I would call it, of the Lord around it, and also good people, knowledge of how to deal with it. Sometimes people can give you like a counsel, a stiff upper lip, keep on going. Mm-hmm. And that is wrong, or sometimes it's really good. It depends upon the person. So I think having an ear or an attentive, open heart of how you comfort the people. But I know that many people now, I've been, you see social media a lot and been through things. There are a lot of people going through many difficulties, and what I would do is get prayer. I would say, we'll pray for you if you need it, or write us about what's going on. I'll do that. Write me a crossbodyunity@gmail.com. We can do that. But the thing is, you got to listen to people.
Yeah, and I have to confess, yesterday, preface it by saying I am not a Christian. I'm more, at this point, an agnostic. I believe in a higher power, but it's hard for me to conceptualize. But I was thinking yesterday of texting you or calling you and asking you just to say a prayer for my friends. Yeah. So even though I'm a bit of a skeptic, I thought, well, I can do that. I can see
Please do. We didn't even talk about it. I didn't know she felt that. Yeah, she told me today what had happened with her friend, what had transpired, the loss. And that brought up, many people have had a lot of things going on right now in the world and situation. But mine is how you can take it easy while you're going through this suffering type thing, and also how to get prayer. Prayer really is an insulation, and there are different methods and styles, but surely write me and text me because prayer really is amazing, really. And the Bible teaches in Deuteronomy. Now, Pam is raised Jewish, but she never went to temple. So, I'd give her some good old quotes from the Old Testament for her to hear. And one of it says in Deuteronomy 30:32, something like that, it says, 1 puts 1,000 to flight, 2 10,000. 1 puts 1,000 to flight, 2, that means to be prayer. One person will be good, but the more prayer people you can get, the better. And we'll pray for your friends, but also for yourself, because you got some big things going on with you. But the way I handle it is 1 day in, 1 day out. 1 day in, 1 day out. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be always at peace, but you want to make sure you're keeping your, safety together. You're keeping your safety from the inside out. Usually all these things are from the inside out. The heart, the worry, fear, all those things are in that with loss. And then loss, my mom died and my parents both passed. Everyone is different. Everything of loss is a giant topic. Some are really dysfunctional, some are not, some are like this, surprises. So that's the big topic. What is your counsel on all this?
My counsel? I don't know if I would have to think about my counsel. I think.
Well, she had a book to offer her friend. Right?
Yeah, but again, way too soon. I remember reading this book many years ago and thought there was a lot of comfort there. But I think, again, people are individual and, maybe everyone has their own kind of comfort that they can, it could be in family and friends who are there, or, in your religious
what I
beliefs.
do, because I've had some really big things, like emotional violence, like different things where I was the prisoner. I just didn't know how to get out. I've had some times where it was loss, but I knew the Lord, so I'd go toward the Lord as my, pray and get the Bible out. But what I don't want to have a formula, but I was earning, as many people have, my PhDs to talk and to, to help people, but PhDs pretty hard days, piled high and deep. So I'm pretty good at understanding how to handle the long haul when it's not good. And I personally know the rest of God, but what you do is you don't look to tomorrow. The Bible even says take notes, and I don't mean you don't plan, you don't have your vision, you don't have your life. I mean, when you think, this is all there is, I'm going to be like this forever, that's part of it. Now, if you have a hormonal change because you've lost a child, or you've lost a mate, it's like your arm has been cut off, all right? So there is that. But I have a couple of tips. We may not get into it today because it's just occurring to me. I got back because I had a great loss a few years ago, but I knew, because I knew the Lord, I went to the Bible, a certain one. Sometimes you're carrying the cross, but I'm thinking my big tip before this was today. Focus on today. Keep your quality of life today. Do what you have to do for tomorrow. Have your life, but try not to take it on. Turn off the news, turn off the media, things that will make your tipping point, your joy, or make it worse. What do you say?
Yeah, if you can, sometimes it's,
yeah, if you can. Now that's it. It's our brain. It's right
it's
here. It's all inside. That's my field, is inside.
Yeah, my mother had been ill for a number of years before she died. Maybe like 3 or 4 years she was in the hospital or nursing home. My aunt and I would visit every day. And it was excruciating seeing her suffer. And I know after she died, I remember thinking that, okay, this is it. Nothing bad is ever going to happen again. It's like denial. Okay, this is done.
Yeah.
This is done. And of course, that is a very immature way to look at it. But I was kind of desperate that this not happen again. And of course, deep losses keep happening throughout your life.
Yeah.
So, your thinking may change as you go through it.
The thing with that is that you're carrying a cross. You don't want it, and it's been good for you, but you can't help it. But the thing is how to make it easier, more manageable, more bearable while you're going through that. So I'm telling you how I handle it.
Yeah.
And what is to take it one day, be easier on yourself. Don't expect too much. Forgive everybody. Forgive yourself, even if you have to do it again. Forgiveness is a giant thing. Now, when she mentioned her mother, my mother had Alzheimer's toward the end. She didn't, let me say what. My mom ate sweets. She put on weight. She didn't work out. She didn't do anything. She just ate a lot. And sorry that's happened. She was like 86. So we learned to be active and all that. But it took a toll on my sister and brother-in-law because they helped her. She lived with them. Now, Pam had a long time as a teenager, when it's even harder as a teenager to see your mom go through great suffering. So this, which I know, will leave a residue on your emotions, your soul, and your memories. That is human. That's sad to say, but it happens. So when you go through that as an individual, you have to know how to embrace what is going on, go for your breakthrough, but then understand this is just part of life. And did it pass? How did you get better after your mom? What was the key?
It took a long time. It took a long time. And this is a whole other subject, but I always loved children, but I also felt she had wanted more children. I was the only child. And part of me wanted to have more children for her, even though she was gone.
Yeah.
And I know that's not real logical. So I had 3, and it wasn't all rainbows. Being a parent, it is tough in many ways. And then we're lucky enough to have grandchildren. So part of that, it was almost like I was trying to make things better for her, even though she was
so what I heard what you said was something that I thought of also, a verse that helped me get back from being very wounded, traumatized PhD with what I'd been through. And that was, by myself, I got out the Bible, 3J2, 3 John 2, and it said, beloved, above all things, I want you to prosper and be in health, even as your soul prospered. I don't want to be too, on that. But what you said, you honored her, but you also, when you said child, that was like, it put something in your soul. It was something that she wanted, that you loved her, and it, you know, it was a healthy thing to think, I'm going to move forward with something that would honor. So you can honor people and do things they would love for you to do, you know, do it for them if you've lost somebody. And you don't maybe feel like it at first, you don't have to, but when you feel it, then you can start to move on out to do that. So the soul happens to be my realm. The soul is where you get oppressed, depressed, suffer, you know, all these things happen because we're human. But if you know God and you have understanding and time, you can work on what would, it says, in this is my teaching, 3J2 lifestyle came out of it, to make it easier. 3 John 2, it says, beloved, yours beloved, above all things, I want you by yourself to prosper and be in health. That means emotional health, physical health, financial health, you know, as your soul prospers. That means your mind, will, and emotions. So here's what I've done. What did it for me back in the early 2000s is when I learned this. I thought I was by my, I felt just horrible. I felt wounded. I felt like alone. I was in a rough place that I'd moved to, and you know, like in the deep Southwest. It was not my favorite place. But what the Lord got me, and He said, "Now, all right, now, by understanding, He didn't say it in words, but I just knew. All right, I can do something with my soul, my emotions, my will, and my mind, will, and emotions. So I thought, I'm going to prosper my brain. And now you can figure out what you think prospers your brain. This is a way to get out from some of the pain. Now, I'm not saying if you just lost a child yesterday or something, that would be the thing, but this is something to pack away and follow it. So what I did was I remember thinking, I'm going to prosper. I'm not going to be ruled by this horrible thing that happened, mean things in my life. I'm going to go to the Lord. I forgave. But my brain, you know, the brain is tricky. It want to take you back and remember and get sad, or you have things going on. You can have catalysts and triggers. But when I kept on going and persisted, the mind is such a giant, a mind field. And when I realized what I was taking with my mind could be healthy, could be pain. What I thought on, what I allowed, you know, it's like your camera inside your playing your TV station in your mind. Another thing is media. That is, to me, media. What am I watching on media? What I'm listening to with my ears that would cause me to stay sad, or cause me to feel frustrated, or what would cause me to have hope? How about working out? That helps, you know, being outside yourself, active. So many things are things you can just think about that. But
yeah, well, we probably could talk about this for hours and hours, but maybe we could continue next time.
Yes, we can continue next time if the Lord will. So we'll be here, and we're going to put this on Substack. It's tevo.substack.com. We're going to put it on a YouTube, Tevo Leader. So we're going to see you next time. This is Pam Lowy. Tevo DRC.
Yeah.
Signing off for now. God bless you. And like I said, if you have a prayer need or something you would like to say, just write us at Cross by the Unit. If you want to ask Pam any questions, feel free.
Okay.
God bless.
All right.
Let's see if we can get this finished.